somebody submitted a pull request for small fix, just approving it in Newcomb, and some interesting insight on the Linux segfault on exit. I don't have time right now to look at it properly, but maybe on the weekend. Oh, 3-4%, is that really? I think it's probably I don't have time to look at this right now. I'll get on with what I should be doing. Okay. I tested no, let's stick to this. I just closed it. I'm tired of staring at this. But I'm obsessed now with the damn usage of. Why are such simple pages performing so badly? Or is it just the way it manages it? Oh, because then it's fine. It's something is using a lot. I mean, look at that, 20.3. Anyway. Maybe the about performance page makes it worse. I don't know. Open the performance page again. About change. Talk 4, talk 6. Sure. 3. 19. Stabilizing. Close your performance. 1.2. Man. Anyway, that's okay. I guess I'll stop staring about it and worrying about it. Anyway, so Microsoft bought GitHub and everybody's talking about it, and I don't have a lot to say about it. I feel pretty neutral about it. I'm just gonna wait and see what they do with it. In the short term, I don't think they're going to. Yeah, I don't know. It's really difficult to. GitHub was one of the. It was. I say it like it's now dead. I guess that reveals my implicit bias. Was rest in peace, GitHub. It's like a Freudian slip. Yeah. I don't know. It was a nicely programmed site. I was always impressed with what they did, like technically. It's nice and clean, but very functional. Looks nice, but looks professional. Simple, clean user interface. It's how I wish I programmed websites. Powerful, gets the job done without being buggy. So I don't know if they'll retain that same level of quality. That would be my primary concern. Obviously, Microsoft are not exactly known for quality. But I really don't know what else they're going to do with it. I mean, I have some other concerns, like probably Google are going to now respond by downranking all GitHub pages, I bet. They'll secretly go just downrank everything GitHub. Like give it a minus something rating if they haven't already in the Google search page indexing. And that's not paranoia. They do stuff like that. Definitely. That's just you know, they want to just knock down the whole ecosystem. But alright, I was testing this new builds. I've created sort of new TLex new build series. Sort of, we already have a beta line, but the beta line is so stable that in order to introduce unstable changes, I've created like a sort of a beta line. It's like a bleeding edge on top of the beta line. Anyway, because I don't want to upset the working beta line. That's so stupid. Anyway, that's the situation. Alright, so our betas now have betas. There's a new special beta line. Extra beta. Beta squared, I don't know what to call it. Anyway, but I was testing it yesterday on this virtual server which runs the VAT, and the Ceph3 didn't work, and I'm a bit worried about it. It just instant crashes. There's no clue in the logs or anything. It's just like boom, it's dead. I just quickly want to go see what that platform is exactly, like what operating system is running on this virtual machine, because I want to. Enjoying Visual Studio. Give feedback. I would love to give feedback because I want to just complain about how slow everything is. Okay. I want to know why. Yeah, I'd recommend it, but it's annoying me. Because of things. Oh, it's too slow. It used to be. The same thing used to be. Content 10. Control Shift open and tab. Since I use both these 20 trillion times a day, it's very painful. Right, I don't know. What does Visual Studio do really well? Good question. I don't know. It's only quite good with my stuff. I have nothing too special with that. Speed/performance. That's it. I'm not having crashes really. rarely, like maybe once every few months, or maybe once a month. Missing functionality, bugs. There's one or two things I miss, like the macro stuff that used to be in and it's not in anymore. But yeah, nothing really outstanding. The speed is a big problem. Start of time's fair. I will have a really fast machine, so I can't judge. How would you rate the speed performance of the following experiences? Start of time's fair, yeah, doesn't bother me. Fair, typing responsive. I feel like it's too slow. It's too slow. Oh, there are one or two bugs that are worrying me. There's some bugs where it deletes the stuff you're typing. That's really annoying. This I don't use. Debug is stepping, yeah, that's fine. I don't know, it doesn't bother me. As slow, vocab, slow open, and if. There's no excuse. There's no excuse why it shouldn't be instant on a fast machine like this. There's really no excuse. Anyway, I hope. Okay, is there anything you'd like us to know about performance in the studio? Yes. That I've already mentioned. Just paste the same message again. Okay, how about quality? It's overall good, but the speed thing, I can, all day long, it just nags. Speed performance, reverse and opening, perfect memory, and everything about nags all day long. Anything. Even on all the spare hardware, this can in a virtual machine is faster. PS2010 in a virtual machine is faster than PS27 in a hosting machine. It's just, I've been wanting, I've got to get this just off my professional, yeah. It's got to get this off my chest. I do, but not really in Visual Studio. Yes, okay, of course, everybody does. Nothing. Okay. Yes, I would actually. Would love to know what is. Where am I? Okay. Alright. I just filled in a Visual Studio survey. It just popped up and I was like, yeah, I want to fill this in. Because the speed has been really nagging me. And it really, every day. Like even this is way too slow. Control Tab. And especially Control Shift F. Look how long I wait. I press Control Shift F and okay, there, that was quick. But most of the time, more frequently, it's just really slow, and it's no excuse why it shouldn't be instant. It should be instant, instant, instant. I mean, if a computer like this can render, you know, rich 3D environments like at 1,000 frames a second or whatever, it can damn well open a stupid find dialog at less than 5 seconds. Anyway, enough complaining. I complain too much. But a feedback form popped up, so I just filled in feedback and got it all off my chest, and I don't know if anyone's going to read it, but yeah. And the worst part is, you know, the older versions of Visual Studio are much faster, on slower hardware, on older, slower hardware. And I can literally, like, on this very same machine, I can run Visual Studio 2010 in a VirtualBox virtual machine, and it's faster and snappier than Visual Studio 2017 on, you know, on the actual hardware. The other one is virtualized and it's faster. Anyway, let me get on with my work. So what I was doing is in this VM, I wanted to check what version of Windows is running now. 2012, because the Ceph3 doesn't seem to work. It just crashes out, and I'm a bit worried about that. Server 2012, how old is that? That is like the equivalent of... Yeah, again. I just want to see where this thing fits in the timeline. 6th release of Windows Server. This corresponds roughly to what? Windows 8. I mean Windows... Huh? Yeah, the server version of Windows 8. That makes me feel like maybe... It makes me worry that this stuff's not going to run on Windows 8. Let me check if it runs on Windows 7. I don't have a clean Windows 7. These Windows 7s are not really clean. Let's just try it anyway. Sweet 2078. So I want to work on that client-server web stuff. Let's try and make up section editor and a few other small things. There's really a lot I want to do. I just need to get done. Webload engine 3. Yeah, that's okay. Let's see if this works. TLex suite works. Okay. So in Windows 7. Damn it, man. Crazy. I wonder if there's some missing DLL or something. If that's possible. It's problem is I have no clue. I have zero clue because let's see if there are no clues. Let's just go. Check the. It's not. I don't have to solve it now. So it's not a priority for me to solve. I just sort of have to get it in the back of my mind here. Windows logs, system. When was it? Yesterday. Yesterday was the 3rd. Or it was early this morning. 3rd or the 4th. Could have been oh no, AM. Those are just missing DLLs which I fixed, and that helped. Nothing else. There's no. Alright. I don't know. I wonder what's the Windows version usage here. I wonder how many people are on Windows 8 still. Probably not a lot. Slightly more than I thought, given that I never like encounter people running Windows 8, or very rarely. But this could include. I wonder if it includes servers. Anyway, Windows 8.1, 7.1, 7%. Windows 7 is dropping. Windows 10 is climbing. 47%. Still, look how many people use Windows 7. That's a lot. A lot of Windows 7s out there. But it works on Windows 7, so it's not a problem. So it works on Windows 7 and it works on Windows 10. Alright, but still, one wants to know what's going on. And if it's just a missing DLL or something, then if I can fix it just by adding a DLL, then of course I should. I just wish I knew. I just wish I had a clue as to why it's crashing. Anyway, it might have something to do with. I think what I'll try next is maybe rebuild things with a different target, because yeah, it may have something to do with this Windows XP thing that's selected. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if rebuilding everything with just plain non-XP. I wouldn't be surprised if that something like that just fixes it. But it's not something I can spend time on now, because I literally don't have time now for that. I guess I wanted to select the size of the start page. I want to make it bigger, the start page. Actually, it should fill the whole screen, but just use HTML to be in the middle. It's like percent thing or something. So it never gets smaller than 300. Never gets bigger than 800 plus 600. Right? Is that right? Or am I confused? Yeah, yeah. And that's right? Yeah. Let me throw it to. Why are these arbitrary? I just started that. So. Mid x equals width of 2. That's not right, this minus story. That should be like a fraction. What about something like that? I don't know what I'm doing there. Okay. That's gonna be like a really wide and weird. I want this thing to go bigger because we have clients with a really huge, really high DPI screens. I just want to see if I can find that screenshot. Where did I put it? It's in my email box. I can always keep tweaking this behavior though. It's a really small thing. The problem with really high DPI screens and the 800 by 600 is that 800 by 600, if you've got like a 200% window setting or even higher as your scaling factor, what's going to happen is, and I'll show you now what I mean, as soon as you see the screenshot it all makes sense. Okay, so right, here's a screenshot. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if that makes sense, but no, wait. Look, it's really tiny. It's and the fix I added would make the text bigger, but it's gonna all scrunch up inside there. Like it's not gonna fit nicely in there. So on a display like that, and that's a 13-inch display, mind you. This screenshot is from a 13-inch display. It's like crazy. Some laptop with a crazy resolution. 13-inch laptop with. I mean, look at this. It's actually, this is like, if you zoom in, it's a really fine resolution. This is on a 13-inch screen. So, it's fine and well that the text gets bigger, but the window needs to get bigger too. It needs to scale as a percent. I think it should be a percent, but have the min-max sizes, and the min-max should be bigger. Like, the min-max should be like 800 by 600 really, or something close to that. 700 by 500. And then this should actually be like percent. What is it now? It's like int minus height, but capped at 800 by 600. I wonder if we should keep its own aspect ratio or get really wide. Might look silly. We could do something like this. Float, and then also set double multiply by 0.7 and back to an inch. And then we do that for the height. I don't know, I'm just experimenting a little bit. And then we want the non-symmetrical, so something like this. Because it's still going to be weird. Look at that blank space. I don't know if that... I would rather have a more usable... Maybe it's fine if it's bigger, you know, if it's... The bigger the better, actually. Why not? Why have that blank space? For what? For visual balance. It's just waste of space. Like, if the text is bigger, why not fit more on screen for the user? Maybe the minus 100 was the way to go. Or, instead of minus 100, it's called attention to detail. sometimes attention to detail is just wasting time. too much time on things that don't matter that much. And sometimes attention to detail is exactly what you need to have a quality product. Anyway, I think that's also why I like the narrower one, because I have crap sitting over my screen all the time like this. But end users probably don't. Like, it's actually better to see more on screen, because if you want to grab from the most recent used list, you don't want to have to scroll down every day. Oh, let me scroll down to open the. So if this window is bigger, we could just click and these sizes. I think they may also be hard coded. Let's try something. I'm gonna go to my settings, Windows DPI settings, and I'm gonna set my DPI to some silly setting like 200. And this is not silly. This is probably like even small compared to that screen. Why can't I get to 200? Why is it not available? Unfortunately, I have to log off to custom scaling 300. We can't use custom scaling until I log out. Cancel. I think it can happen if you commit from a different platform. Like if you commit from a platform, if you do cross-platform development, then I think what happens is, like I had a colleague who, or if I work from the Mac, or I have a colleague who works, if I do commits from the Mac, then I might have, if you edit them on the Mac, the editor will save with the wrong line endings, and then you commit your changes and they get committed into. I just don't worry about it too much. You can, it doesn't really cause harm. Just that warning. Turn off custom. Oh shit! That's not what I wanted to do. I have no idea what's going to happen now to the stream. Cancel. I'm still streaming. Share it. I don't know if the stream is still going. I don't. I changed it for the wrong display there. I can't go back to one. Damn it, I can't. I have to sign out. Stupid to test this. Or do it in a VM. This is annoying. Let me just check what happens on that screen. Oh, it does zoom it nice and big. Okay. Two screens here. But that's not exactly what I want. So what I wanted here was, let's make this 0.8 and 0.9. Okay. And make that 1921. It's really odd. No, that's silly. That's odd. Let's take away that min. Why have a min? Let's take it away entirely. Boom, 0.8 and 0.9. Like, yeah, the main window and everything is WX widgets, but like this window is an HTML window. So inside there, it's C++, but it's generating, C++ generates HTML to display there. That is not right, that is not what I want. I think what's happening there is, huh? What the hell is it doing? Is that the, that can't be the 600, sure. Going 300 by 400 again? Or 300 by 300, whatever the hell it was. What about times... You know what the width and height might be? It might be the screen width and height instead of the window width and height. Let me just check. Position windows. I can't remember. The client size. No, it's the client size. What happened there? I think it should always be smaller than the main window. It should always just be a percentage of the main window size. And if you do that, then it should be... But that's silly, I guess. That doesn't help anyone. What should happen is that margin size should shrink as well. So the margin size should diminish to 0. Hold on a second. Damn, my stream isn't recording anymore. Let's try to re-record. There we go. I mean, all the main concepts are the same. Like, they're similar. I mean, yeah, I guess they are similar. Yeah, it depends on your point of view. I mean, you got all the same stuff, classes. C++ is a bit, I don't want to say lower level. It is, yeah, it's a bit lower level. In C++, you're coding just above the metal, and you're dealing with pointers, and even when you have abstractions like references, you can never, you always have to be thinking in terms of whether or not it's a pointer or whatever. Anyway, so it's not. You never quite get to the position where you sit in C sharp and you just think about objects, and I think there's quite some differences with C sharp builds really quickly. That's one of the things I like about it. Build C sharp's application. The compile time is like really fast. I think there's a number of different reasons why it's much faster than C++. I think they got fewer ambiguities, but also just the whole C++ ecosystem is really not really well done. It's a bit of a chicken wire sort of solution, the way everything just fits together. They're not like modules. There's no proper modules in C++, but I understand the new C++. The new C++, they're busy implementing modules. But you just have this ugly system of header files, and it's actually really horrific if you think about it. Like, every file here includes pre.h, and pre.h, every pre.h includes, like, I mean, if you were to go look, every file is probably like thousands and thousands and thousands of lines long once the preprocessor has to deliver it to the, the compiler. Once you drag in all headers, it's kind of gross. It's not really a proper module system. And if you look in those headers, the headers are like, especially if they're cross-platform, they're just a big patchwork of hash if def this, if def that, if this platform, if this, and even basic things like the size of an int isn't standardized. It's what? But I like C++. I'm not. It sounds like I'm criticizing it. I'm not. I love C++. But I hate the compile time. Like this application, it is big. It's 280,000 lines, but it takes long to build. It takes in order. This is a fast machine, and using all the cores on this machine, it takes in order of several minutes to build. It's my biggest pain with it. I remember doing C# projects, and like you just press compile, and it's like instantly done. Okay, they weren't quite as big as this, but still, it would have been faster no matter how, even if it was large. But I don't know if it's possible to develop an application like this in C#. Yeah. There's parts of this that are really tightly optimized, and I don't know if it would have even been possible to get near the same performance out of C#. Not compile time performance, runtime performance for the end user. Like this application, anyway, what am I doing? I must do this start page thing. I don't know. Is that bad? Is that horrible? It doesn't quite look right. That's different. Let's try 0.85 on both axes and see how it looks. I'm not too worried about what happens when the window gets really tiny. Because if you just can make the window really tiny, you're just a dumbass. You can't use the software like that. I mean, alright, so yeah, the syntax, you know, the C# syntax, yeah. C++ is much older than C#. I mean, I can still remember when C# was a brand new thing. And I'd been coding C++ for years already. So, yeah, the syntax, they definitely, and that I liked about it. Yeah, basically they looked at languages like C++ and they said, well, they looked, the situation at the time was that Visual Basic filled the market gap that C# was now. And Visual Basic was pretty crappy, yeah. So there was C++ for various applications. Yeah, and what's good about Java, basically, so they tried to yeah, so the open source world, I mean, there wasn't mono, but that was never really properly compatible, and it only came years later, and I think only now they've more recently started to open source it. But that wasn't the idea. The idea was to basically replace, you know, Visual Basic it had its strong points, but it was widely mocked. You know, it was a subject of ridicule. So they needed something better than VB, but not as complex as C++. By complex, I mean, you know, the average programmer is just developing a point-of-sale front end. Doesn't want to have to deal with things like pointers and, you know, the sort of stuff that Joe average programmer finds difficult to get right without having the application be crashing, and, you know, so you can, and C# does a good job of that. You can really quickly get, you know, applications like that up and running, you know, a front end for a database or a, and these days, I mean, C# is now used for Unity programming, which is obviously quite a big thing. But because computers today are a bit faster than they used to be. Not much. No, they are. They're faster than they used to be. Right. So, yeah, I think I like this being bigger. I think that's a better price. I mean, that's fine. Let's just leave it at that. I can always tweak that again if it gets on my nerves. That start page size behavior. Rapid application development. That's what they used to call it. That sort of niche. Okay. You know, I've done Microsoft Word automation in C++, and I've done it in C#. And it's worlds apart. It is so much easier in C#. The documentation is, you know, it takes 2 minutes to do something that takes hours or a whole day in C++ to do a job like that, literally. And the documentation is integrated in, you know, and like when you press dot and you get the API, you know, the API function calls and all that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can develop a complex application like TLex in C#. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could, but it wouldn't scale as well. I don't think. Like, it might, you know, the performance would probably, I suspect, you know. Whereas in TLex, you can easily have a dictionary with like 150,000 entries. C# might get slow when you start trying to do that. I'm not sure though. I mean, okay. So, okay, size of start page. Switch to bigger. And dash keys lines. And there's something I wanted to add to the start page. I wanted to add this open for multi-document smart search. I wanted to add, yeah, but it doesn't really fit because look, we've already got so much stuff here. File open. Then I wish I could log off without in midstream and just sign on again because I want to test the really hard DPI. Anyway, test. Infinite budget. Yeah, I mean, I had a slower laptop that I used to build on. Not i7 person, i7. What's that? i7. I forgot again. Keep getting the model. i7 6600 HQ. I mean, yeah, sorry. i7 7700. Thing is, if you have a slower machine, sort of adapt. So so yeah, I had a slower laptop before, and it's not like you can't work. It's just this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really happy with the spec, the laptop spec. Projects. That's almost too much still. Well, it's difficult to really say. I want to add file, just open the multi-document smart search. I want to add there. I think it's not going to leave enough. the open recent list. Does that matter? I don't know. Difficult to say. I may be adding more of these in future, so may matter. Maybe I am. This is pretty ugly. This is really old-fashioned font color. But I think it's still used. That's why I don't want to take it out. Open for multi-document smart search. I think that's alright still. How is Firefox closed? Oh, because I clicked sign off on this thing. Ah. Sorry, I just need to focus a bit. I need to put the chat out the way because I'm not getting anywhere with the. Um, testing. Okay. So that's off in reader. So I just wanted to check. I want this to look slightly differently, but I'm not sure what. Italics? I don't know. Because it's a little bit, it's not the same as the rest. It should maybe have the other icon, but the icon that it should have is, I think, under TLex images toolbar, which isn't going to be there. The TL term, multi-document, this one. This is the icon we, this is the icon we want. Toolbar. Where does this icon come from? Crystal Project 32 by 32. And there's a whole bunch of these though. Check for updates. So, check for updates of PNG. Let's see where that is exactly. It's one inch source. TLex data images. Source. Term data. I'm just wondering if I can just use the image that's in the toolbar. Data. Probably not, because image toolbar 32. Unless I use GS update path. Update path, tilted images toolbar. Oops. Images update path, images. Toolbar 32. Document the PNG. This can be a little bit tricky because several applications are built off the same base. Like, I don't know if that's going to work in TL database. TL database, images, toolbar. This, yeah, for example, that image isn't there in TL database. I don't know if the feature is there in TL database. File open. No, it's not. Look how big that is. That's because of the DPI setting. It actually changes like boom, 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 boom. The two monitors have different DPI settings. And as soon as more than half the window is in the screen, then boom, boom, boom. This looks like giant, it's silly. Build. There are some things I could do to help speed up the build here. One thing I could do in situations like this, you know, if I could make more effective use of DLLs, but that would take developer time to do. So it's like developer time I don't have. Chicken and egg. Anyway, alright, so open from multi-target. There it worked. Alright, open. So that's right, that's all. I wanted to look different to the others so that you can see it's not like the others, it's different. This need to work with and overwrite this command. Work. Alright, so just made that little shortcut. Start page to open. That smart search stuff I did work extensively around January, February, March, April, and I did a lot of streaming on that as a new, that exciting new feature. What I really need to do now is work on the client server stuff. Those are just a couple of small things I just wanted to get out the way. And now I want to get on with the client server stuff again. Tool start server. Connect to client. It would be nice to be able to configure the port. The question is, do we just have a simple stupid dialog like this? Or do we... No. I think... I'm not sure I have a Windows 8 machine for testing. That's a bit of a problem. Not a problem, but it could later be. So this bunch of server settings. This is weird. Geez, what is this one? Add property. Oh, they don't go in the registry. They're just like... It's just a class, server settings, which has TC properties. Right, so this is now a very good question, right? We want to change server settings. Should we have a new thing in the registry? Server. With all the server settings. Oh, is that weird? Weird compared to what? compared to how servers normally work. I mean, servers one normally thinks of as not having user interfaces, really. That's not strictly true. I mean, but the other thing I maybe want to do is precisely this multi-document smart search. I want to extend the server stuff to so you can serve a bunch of documents. I want to link the two. So I want you to be able to say, all right, this document, and that one, serve in the server. So there should be like a server manager that lets you add and remove documents from the server. So you should be able to load a TMX document and start serving it. But that's not going to happen right now. To start with, I just want to have something, rather than nothing. The right, so that's the server running on port 99, and there's the client. This document is retrieved entirely from the server over the network connection. Server running port 99. Yeah. unmuting myself. This error loading entry is not really an error per se. It's just I haven't. You're not supposed to be able to add new entries in this client yet. So I must either try to find a way to. I think being able to control the port is really important. So I think I must. I know you can buy a command line, but that's nobody uses command line. Anyway, the what is it going to do now? Oh, the port number. I want to be able to control the port number. Then this business about guest allow entry list. Really, there should probably be a pseudo user in the user system called guest, and you should be able to set the permissions for guest on a very fine-grained basis, or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, one could even make it like a wiki, Wiktionary wiki, and make the username the IP address or something weird. Any pretty interesting things. This edit also this IP and run that would be cool. That's, I don't know, cool, but interesting. I don't know. I just did it. There was something I wanted to add to this to-do list. I'm using Notepad. So Notepad and 3. I guess I did order like a wiki. It was related to that. I wanted to add to my to-do list. Oh. Ability to register for you to allow users to register by web or through their account. That's what sells new users. Obviously, yes, my is searching. Oh, by default. Okay. Alright, the TLex service staff. Some to-dos. Oh yes. Set this all up on tlsn.com and allow users to create their own documents. Set up tlsn.com and try it out with your website. Users connect. As read-only fine. The read-only parts are really important. I'm really keen to try to get this running. just for interest. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to start. The sooner one starts, I think it's great to start young. The just to do is I'm going to add to. Alright, we don't want to use Notepad. Notepad is. Oh yes, I want to make this read-only. The way to do that is when it registers client.io, client.io stuff. Client.io registers somewhere. I don't think anything is using that buffer class anymore. Do better copy C between corpus. There's so many interesting things that, man, I can do with this. I really want to get it all out there and all the features in and just get it working nicely. Div. Looking to something with first type. Oh yes. This server, computer server IO in the app. I seem to remember, and I don't know if this is actually going to work. There's an IO flag. Read only somewhere. Manage only, can manage. Save subcopy export open. Import can manage. I'm like sighing. May create entries. Let me go look at the implementation of my create entries and see if it sheds any light. What it does is check privilege. If doc equals null, if no doc, yeah. Sorry, no doc. If user manager is disabled, if no active users, different user, otherwise has privilege. That's a bit of a problem because the user has write privileges. So how does it work if you log in and you press escape at the login dialog and it goes into read-only mode? How does that even work? Because that's what I want to trigger effectively, except it must log you in still instead of not logging in. Like this. Okay, this database doesn't require login, but the AWS one you can press or at least my copy of it, you can press escape and you can go in, but you're in read-only mode. And I kind of want to trigger basically the same thing. Oops, I logged in. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to press escape. But where does it happen? It happens somewhere. Document authentication, I think. Not authorized. Oh, what'll happen is basically the user will be null. Boom, that'll happen, that's why. There's two ways I can do this. I can either hack the privileges. I can hack it to clear any edit privileges in every user. Not for real, but just in the client's sort of view of the universe. Gross. But better than having them do like I did just now, and then they see things like that. That error. Where was it? This. Because they're going to say new entry, and then they're going to see stupid things like this. So until that's implemented, privilege. Document construction data. I think document construction data. The user list for now is in there. Loaded to D section list, which is a bit gross. Anyway. No, it's not. So where is the user list again? Oh, you never get the user list. Right? Do you? Let's check. You never get the user list. So it effectively, but without the user list, how are you going to show who edited what? Grown. Maybe I should add a read-only flag to the IO and just extend it to be like that. So it checks if the IO's read-only flag is set, then all the may edit stuff returns false as well. I could swear we have stuff like that already. But I think what happens if you have a read-only, then it sits under file import, and I don't want it to jump to the import. These are read-only IOs. I don't want it to sit on the import list. Well, that's what it is, really. It's just the importer, if you can't edit. But I don't know, these flags are a bit confusing. There might be a way to do it, but I'm not too worried about it right now. What I really wanted to do was hack the flags, the privileges. Oh, that's what I want to do. I want to test. Alright, so I need a document that's a bit smaller than this one. Maybe this one. Oh, that's not much smaller. It's gigantic. Okay. So there's 3 users. And now we're going to say tools.server. And I'm going to connect this client. So I'm connecting to this TLex instance, but as a client. That's so cool. Anyway, dictionary user management. And boom, there's no users in the user list. So even though we authenticated, now imagine there's 20 million users in the system. It shouldn't load the whole user list. It shouldn't. But there aren't 20 million users in the system. Maybe it should be an option. What if you were running Wikipedia and you had millions of users? You'd only load the whole user list just so that you can see the username of the guy who edited it. You'd probably load the username on demand when you're looking at an entry, but how much RAM would it take? Let's say there were 20 million users. I mean, that sounds like a lot, but... And I wonder how many Wikipedia registered users there are on Wikipedia. If we have 20 million users, I'll have bigger problems. I'll have bigger problems at that point. I should hope we have 20 million users. Anyway, how many users on Wikipedia? I'm curious. Let's say we have 20 million users, and the average username takes 32 bytes of RAM. You've got to factor in heap granularity. Heap granularity on Windows is 16 bytes. Anyway, that's why I'm just doing it like 32. That's... yeah, I mean, that's not that bad. Still, that's a dumb way to do it. 27 million registered users on Wikipedia. But I mean, you're not going to load the whole Wikipedia into RAM. How big is Wikipedia dump? I wonder. Latest Wikipedia dump on the English one. Size of Wikipedia without the history. Current revisions only, no talk. 14 gig compressed, expands to 58 gig. That could fit in RAM. If you had a 64-bit application that was efficiently coded and had like 128 gig of RAM. That's amazing. Something as big as Wikipedia. Could in theory fit in 64 gig of RAM. Not for much longer. Still, it's interesting stuff. Because, like, I mean, we know we're probably never going to have a database that large. We have some pretty big databases in TLex, but like maybe in the order of 5, 6 gig, I don't know. Still too much for Win32's RAM, but 601. Not that Wikipedia is the benchmark, but I mean, I'm just trying to think big. The other reason I don't want to load the whole user list locally is for security reasons. I mean, you don't want to necessarily, especially you don't want in local RAM on every machine, necessarily password information or privilege information. Maybe privilege information, actually, that's useful. It depends what you're trying to build, isn't it? Depends what you're trying to build. I think we'll have to add options to control how this works. One of the problems, or not problems, but it's not a problem, but TLex and TLterm don't store last edited information as username. It stores it as an ID, and the ID, you see the ID 123. So it stores it as a 2 or a 3, and this is what's bothering me about it. If you don't load the whole user list, then all you're going to see is that it was last edited by 3 or 2 instead of as David or your real username. Look, if you store it as text, then you anyway have to store all that in RAM, and it's still even worse. Like if you have 27 million users like Wikipedia, and you have to load the whole thing into RAM, you've got the edited by information, it's still in RAM. It's in RAM, except now it's as a string instead of an ID. So you haven't saved anything, you might not want to expose the user list for security reasons, like I bet, you could do stupid things like use the user list. If you run down that user list, the average user list on a database, and you just run some brute force crackers, some brute force stuff, you're going to find things people have used their username as the password, or or that's really the concern with it. But you don't. Let's see how quick the load all is. So 61 batches. Wow, it's much faster than the other one I was testing. Guess the average entry. I wonder why. Average entry size bigger? Oh no, it's cooling off. Still, that is faster than it was on the other one I tested. Not much, but it looks faster. Getting 20 out of 61 batches. This is what I want to use it for in the immediate term. This client has. I want to give them. They don't have like an easy way to set up ODBC client. Client's a little bit not remote, but I'll definitely need the port thing though, then, because we're probably going to have to run on port 80. That was quite fast. And now the whole thing is loaded into RAM. It's quite a big database. It's over 24,000 entries. About 56 meg of data. It's small, but is it? No, wait, I got the wrong thing. Yeah, it's about 56 megabytes. So that 56 megabytes took, I don't know, 30 or 30 a minute maybe on this local machine. Let me make it possible to change the port. And I wonder if the default port should be 80. I guess. I'm in two minds about it. The default port should be 80 for the average web server, of course. But I'm a little bit worried that's going to be more likely to be in use. Like, I think Skype grabs port 80 if it can, and crap like that. I'm not sure if there's an easy way to check if a port is in use programmatically. There must be. I don't know. What will happen if the port's in use? Let's try it. Let's see. So, right, port 80 is in use. Because I have a Apache server running on port 80. So let's see what happens if I try run it on 80. Is it going to give an error, or what's it going to do? I don't check, and that's a constructor. So is it holiday? Yeah, I don't think so. Holidays. Yeah. I don't pay attention to public holidays. I just work. It's all the same to me. But I kind of like public holidays in that I can program more without being, interrupted by clients. Not that it's bad to have clients. I'm not complaining about clients. They're always welcome to interrupt me. Because it's like you have less sales queries and less support queries. So it's a bit quieter. The pressure is off a bit, and I can get some real programming done. Actually more final. What did I want to do? Oh yes, check the port. The start server must have a return value, or is a spline function. Use of a socket. I need a way to know if the port's in use. Let me blocker server socket. Check the port in use. I wonder what backlog means. It doesn't even say what happens if it fails to bind to the port. Or when it does it. Backlog specifies the maximum number of connections that can be queued for this socket. Defaults to 64. Might be a bit low for a big thing. Might want to later increase that if we have busy servers. So what happens if the port's in use? I guess I'm just going to find out. I don't know. Samples and tools. Start server. It says server running on port 80, but it can't possibly be listening to connections on port 80 because port 80 is in use. Oh, it is. What the fuck? Maybe port 80 is not in use. Maybe my Apache. Oh, you know what? My Apache might have closed when I signed out. When I accidentally signed out. Let's check. You can easily check netstat minus a minus b. Or no, minus a minus n back to more. And there's nothing on port 80. That's why. So the reason there's nothing on port 80 is when I clicked sign out by mistake, I accidentally, it must have automatically stopped Apache. Let's rerun Apache. Alright, so now netstat minus a minus n type 2 more, we can see that something is listening on port 80. Now what happens if we try, maybe I should run it in debug mode and just step. To see what happens. Okay, so I'm deliberately wanting to see what happens if I pick the port that's in use, because I want to catch it and give a meaningful error or something to tell the user, hey, something's busy on port 80, do you want to use port whatever instead? Well, that could take a while. What does, I don't know, that word doesn't mean anything. What does that mean? I don't think software is. Yeah, the word complete only means something if you have a spec and you're trying to match, and you have to match the spec. Like if the user requirements are you need A, B, C, and D, and you need to match A, B, C, and D, and you can just mark it as checkboxes when you got those things finished, then you can say it's complete. But that isn't really the case. This is application like Microsoft Word. It's like saying, is Microsoft Word complete? Yes, it's a complete application. Or is Visual Studio complete? Yes. Is Photoshop complete? Yes. But they're always adding new features. It's the same. It's this update. I want to aim for this update to be in July, maybe sooner, no later. Yeah. I may need to do it as a parallel release because it's a bit complicated. There's a whole sort of web of third-party libraries that it relies on, and in the process at the moment, I can't get it building. Our official builds are still on Visual Studio 2010, but I can't get this server stuff building because of the complex web of dependencies of third-party libraries. Some of them no longer build on Visual Studio 2010, so I have to move to Visual Studio to 2017 in order to release a version that has all this stuff. But that is quite a destabilizing move. Like for example, like when I started the stream, I was just having noticed that Visual, like it doesn't run on VS 2012. I mean Windows 2012, Server 2012, which is the equivalent of Windows 8.1. So there's problems like that I don't know how much work they're going to be to sort out before I can release. So it's a bit tricky. It is a good idea, I think. It's time to start moving away from VS 2010. The writing is on the wall, so to speak. But what I can't do is risk breaking it for any existing customers. Like I can't have customers who try to run the software and it just doesn't work anymore. So what I'll probably have to do, like what I do already, what we do on our download page is, and we actually already do this to a fair degree. If we go to the TLex Suite download page, we have the main official release, which is stable, and I don't put stuff in there that isn't well tested, so you can rely on that working, basically. And then down on the bottom of the page, beta builds, advanced. So on the bottom of the downloads page, advanced users may download beta builds here. These contain upcoming new features still in testing. Beta versions are compatible with official releases, and you can easily change back at any time. But they may be less stable. So, like if a user knows they're downloading the beta version and then it doesn't work on Windows 8, they can contact you and say, hey, the beta version doesn't work on Windows 8. They know it's a beta version. Well, they probably won't. But so what I want to do is start getting a few more users to, the sort of bleeding edge early adopter users here, to start trying it out, so that I can get feedback, like whether or not it's working for them and what problems they run into. And that is gonna, the feedback based on that is gonna determine whether it's realistic, what deadline is realistic for these changes. I'm keen to get them in as soon as possible. But yeah, the one thing I cannot do is risk breaking the official builds. So those will have to stay on VS 2010 probably for a long time. And I may even just say that the server stuff for now is in the beta line only. But even in the beta line, it has to be at least a certain amount stable. I'll just drop in the summary here. That's about the best way I can summarize it. Oh, well, yeah, it is mine, I guess. All right, I want to just try. I want to just do the port 80 conflict thing and see what happens. Yeah, tool start server. I want to see if I can step in. Then, yeah, bind port 80. Not much in a verity. Oh dear. Exceptions. Interesting. It throws an exception. That's good. I think that just means we can put a try catch around it. And we get, that's actually... okay. Items. Alright, so we're gonna just put a try catch around it, and I'm not sure what happens. Do I need to delete that? Or will the compiler do that? I don't actually know. That's a really good question. Now, yeah, I'll do level 1 here. I've been used already. Just select a different part, or clear, or start the existing part by using the parts. Do I need to delete? I don't know. I have no idea. Let me use the debugger again to put the debugger there and see what that. I'm trying to put a breakpoint there just to see what is that gonna. I don't actually even know. Like that's basic C++, and I don't know. Is that kind of thing? Is the compiler gonna not construct that? Anyway, or is it gonna be a half constructed object or a constructed object? If you throw an exception from the middle of a constructor in the middle of new, does the entire new fail, or does the new succeed and you still have to delete? I've never done that before. I've never had to worry about that before. But what I need to do here is the start server needs to return some information as to whether it succeeded or not. Okay. And if this fails, we return. Okay. Let's say that. Now, what it could do is automatic. I don't think it should automatically click. Like, what we used to do in the gaming days is like automatically selecting your port. And you go like +1, +1, +1. So if there's a server... Anyway, that's, yeah, that's not really, I don't think that's really a meaningful, useful idea for this. This is to, yeah, I'm not sure what to do here, like, it should actually delete all this junk if it fails to start the server, because, or should it? Or what it should actually do is say, yeah, what it should do is, if already running, no, this is now not true anymore, because, I think what it, yeah, that's a good question. Maybe we should say stop server. That should clean up. I don't normally have time to answer a lot of questions, so I'm normally, yeah, I'm very reserved as to who I answer questions for. Anyway, okay, right. This is, you know, some users come in here and they're very demanding and they're rude, and then they still want you to expect you to help them. If someone comes into my stream and they're rude, I just literally brick ban them immediately. Alright. I appreciate that you appreciate. I have very little time in the day. Start server. Alright, so we hit this and it says port in use, okay. And it's no, wonderful. Alright. So we don't even delete it. I wonder if that depends on the exception. Anyway, of course I'm just assuming that the exception means the port is in use. There'd probably be other types of exceptions. So now we need a way that the port number needs to be configurable. Okay. I think it should default to 80. Instead of 99. And now then we need a way to make it configurable, properly configurable. 99, how would it be? In most cases, you probably want port 80, I think. So the profile, let me just open. Yeah, it would be nice to have profiles because you might want to run multiple servers off the same machine, which I in fact already do. So I'm coming back in a second. Right. I think I know what to do here. In that start server function, I'm just going to add, it should be quite easy. The things I must do. I also want to change that default to set 80. Then Photo, that's going to be really cool, and we can literally run real web servers off this. I still have to get my head around the possibilities. I wonder if there's some easy way to train some part of the, like let's say you want /JSON RPC to be handled by this, but / to be handled by a real Apache server. That's a bit tricky. I don't think there's an easy way to do that. Anyway, basic config dialog. We're going to add a lot of options probably as we go. I've got a generic properties dialog, so I can probably use it, and that's why generic properties dialog that's already designed exactly to work for exactly the things like this. It works with a TC properties, and the TC properties is what it's already stored in these options, these server settings. I'm not sure about. Oh no, that should be slack or empty. Yeah. That should not be null. It should be that. I guess it's my wait, I'll put this the other day. Is something like get top level window or something. Looks like I mostly just throw null in there. Why doesn't it like that? Ah! Calculate argument 2. I don't know it. Properties, server settings. Server settings is a TC server settings. Get settings. Okay. Pointed to a reference checker. I think. Yeah. Address of a ref. That's a bit confusing. Address of a reference. When a reference is in fact a pointer. So that returns a reference. You get the address of the reference. So address of the reference sounds like getting the address of the pointer, if you think about it. Actually, I don't even know. I don't even know if it's right. I'm pretty sure it's right. Anyway, what you mean is the address of the object. Anyway, we'll soon know if it's wrong. Very, very quickly. Okay. So given the fact that a reference is a pointer, you would think that the reference would automatically cast to a pointer instead of having to use the address of operator. And that getting the address of operator would be like getting the address of a pointer. Start server. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to make it 81. Unfortunately, it's not going to remember that because Yeah, there we go. Right, server running on port 81. Anyway, it doesn't store that in the registry. That's a bit of a nuisance. We are going to want it to remember, aren't we? Or doesn't really matter. It does. It's going to make it very painful. I have local AD in use, so if I have to change that every single damn time, I'm going to go crazy. Alright, but it now detects the port in use, so I'm just going to commit that. Initial that, detect if port in use, port in use, and ability to select port. That's still not even in by the place in the registry. Let's do that next. Also change the default port to port 80. Standard web server port. I think we should create server profiles because yeah, anyway, let me not get too fancy just yet. Okay. But dangerous almost. Because someone who doesn't know what they're doing could say, oh, what is this server thing? Tool start server. And without really knowing what they're doing, expose the data to the whole network. So I wonder, either I must have a big warning on it, or there must be stricter controls, or it could almost be a separate application. Like I'm kind of leaning. Sometimes I think it should be a separate application, partly for commercial reasons, because I think you should pay more for it because it's very advanced and powerful functionality. I don't think it should just be in the default. But TL you can get very inexpensive in TL database. So to have such powerful functionality for such a low price is not right. Or is that just expected these days? I don't think so. Our competition doesn't have this. Alright, so the server settings stuff. CDLG properties. It's options. Options inherit property. Something like something. To the same global options and those. And then the dialog. Okay, that's what we have. What's like? Wait a minute, up in right there. We don't have to do it like this. Undo. We don't use T-get options. We make a new one. Okay. And that where does the such settings come from? That's what I'm wondering. Aha. Country variable now. Set path. There equals. Alright. What we need to do Sure, I don't remember how this stuff works that well, but in the registry, okay, that's the application base. Then, so where does the word settings come into it? Because I think I'm overcomplicating this. Never mind that. Okay. And settings is a reference to options, and never mind this base class thing. I'm just gonna do that, and don't do so much about it. To start with, I can change it later. Okay. So sure. So that's it. Nothing fancy. That's okay. And it'll okay, one small thing, this isn't right. This thing is going to get constructed potentially before get options, and it basically wants to use get options. But it's just a reference to get options, so it's not a problem. Oh, it is a problem, possibly because this is a constructor. Similar problem that I was reading up earlier, yeah. About static initialization. I think the add properties should just or there should be a dynamic thing. Or there's another way. You just search and replace. Anyway, that doesn't help. Let's just add these 4 things for now. to yeah. Anyway, alright, then instead of in settings, we just say get options. And yeah, instead of just get settings, we again just say get options. In fact, we just search and replace server settings, get settings with the get options. And this whole class we just get rid of for now. Just comment out. The most beautiful thing ever. That's right. Plain, simple, blah blah blah. Of course, the point of that exercise is to get these settings to save in the registry, so that when we change the port, start server 81 F5. Now we got server, and underneath that log network port 81. Okay, started on port 81, and now we close and rerun, and it should remember port 81 is where I want my server. Tools, start server, API. Right, while I'm here in this, I'm not sure if I want to look at this now, but okay, this 481 now is where it's running. And if I say test, oh, it does work. I thought the Unicode's not going to work. Alright, that's cool. That's really cool. So this, we can connect in a web browser to localhost port 81, and it connects to our TLex server, which is running off port 81, just like that. Okay. TLex server. Right. And also, thank you, Daniel. Client for now. Department. Let's commit those changes. And select the port from the service tab. Yeah. What is this thing called? It's a let me just get the exact model number. I'm very happy with the laptop I have. It's a yeah, that's the model GL. Asus RG GL 75 24 gig RAM. I'm pretty happy with it. That's quite a reasonable spec there. I'm not. Yeah, that's not a bad development system. I would also just check what the keyboard's like if you're going to be using the keyboard a lot. I can't see what the keyboard looks like here. Wait. And just. Yeah, the other thing that is. This sounds really stupid, but. Is like a sensible arrow key layout. Oh, that's something. Always. Yeah, that looks like a sensible arrow key layout. That's one small detail. if you have horrible arrow key layout on a laptop that can irritate if you're using it all day, or if you use it a lot. That doesn't look too bad though. That's I like the way, yeah, I quite like that. I also found the small detail that I like on this laptop is the backlit keyboard. If I'm working in bed or whatever, then I can see the keyboard at night. But that's, that's relatively small stuff. This is I paid more than that for this. I can't remember, about $1,600 or something. But yeah, that you can definitely do. Yeah, you can pretty much do basically anything you need to do. Yeah, that doesn't look like a bad choice. That's quite a fair choice. Okay. The only other thing I'd mention is if you're buying a laptop for a very specific job, like if a game company is hiring you to work on some specific game, then you must just make sure that the laptop is of spec enough to actually run the game, for example. But that's just so. Yeah, that would be. Um, One second. I need to take a break.